Hey there, it's Dr. Peebler again. I just wanted to come and talk to you about a common misconception I've been hearing, and it's mostly with young people under the age of probably 30. And the misconception is that, I'm just going to do whatever I want to do with my health. I'm going to live my life however I want to live it. I'm going to eat whatever I want, drink whatever I want. I don't really feel like I need to exercise. I don't enjoy it. And I'm just going to die at a ripe age of 50 or 55, as if you magically have a widowmaker heart attack and pass peacefully. And, I don't want to minimize that does happen at times. I would say it's definitely the exception to the rule and not the rule. The rule is that you end up with a heart attack, either a NSTEMI, non-ST elevation myocardial infarction, or a STEMI, an ST elevation myocardial infarction. And you survive. You make it to the cath lab, you make it emergently, you get an emergent stent. Your life is essentially saved. You're in the ICU for a night, you pop into the ICU step down for a night, and then you're discharged on your medications that you'll be discharged on. You'll be discharged on several medications, at least a beta blocker, probably a statin, and an antiplatelet agent of some sort, whether it be aspirin or Plavix. And that's not where the story ends. I mean, now you have this label of what they call coronary artery disease, which is something you probably had for a long time. It doesn't develop overnight, but now you have a diagnosis. Now you're on the radar of the medical system. What tends to happen is that the damaged part of the heart, the infarcted part of the heart, ends up getting fibrotic or scarring, which leads to ultimately a process called, ischemic cardiomyopathy or heart failure with reduced ejection fraction, where now you have another diagnosis called congestive heart failure. And that ejection fraction, or the amount of blood that's actually pumped with each beat, is progressively lower. As you have subsequent heart attacks, you generally, this process gets worse and worse and worse. And, the vascular system is not a vacuum. So you also have, risk factors for carotid, artery disease, which increases your risk for stroke. Perhaps you have even a decent size stroke, and you're left with some neurologic deficit that you can't reverse, whether it be a facial palsy or you have a hemiparalysis where you can't ambulate or walk around. You're not going to be the same. My point is, it's a progressive decline in function that leaves people in a very miserable state of affairs. If you don't die of the heart failure and the vascular disease itself, then maybe you're going to die of a catastrophic stroke. Maybe you'll get progressive dementia, what we call vascular dementia. I think that in general, when you have these metabolic, risk factors, high blood pressure, high cholesterol, diabetes, heart disease, et cetera, it increases your risk multiple fold of getting Alzheimer's disease. And you end up withering away, sadly, no matter how strong you are physically, of an irreversible, at least seemingly irreversible brain disease like dementia. And it is a miserable process for you. It's a miserable process for your family and your loved ones. It is a slow, tedious process. A lot of times it is not, there's no glory in that. There is no, it's an awful process. And, it is, you're not escaping this, in this blaze of glory type situation. It's very infrequent in this day and age with our healthcare system. It's one of the things we do pretty darn good is that we save a lot of people's lives who would have otherwise died of, myocardial infarction or heart attacks, and or strokes. And that doesn't mean that the damage isn't done. It just means that you don't die immediately. And so unless you plan on, making a point to tell your family members that do not call 911 no matter what happens, or, make me a do not resuscitate, in case I have some, acute MI and then end up with a life-threatening arrhythmia at the age of 50, dying of VT or VF, ventricular fibrillation, ventricular tachycardia, arrest, you're going to end up maimed, basically, and you're going to have progressive decline, and you're going to be freaking miserable. So, the time is now. No matter what age you are, the time is now to get your life on track, to take responsibility for your health, and to, get out of this denial, basically, of this blaze of glory end that you're going to have for yourself by just doing whatever you want at 50 years old. It just is very unlikely it's going to happen. You're going to end up, demented, with not moving half your body for a period of, I don't know, 5, 10, 15 years. And it's going to be horrible. So I hope that helps, because like I said, I hear a lot of young people, people who are younger than myself, with this misconception. I don't think that most middle-aged people or people who are, in their 5th, 6th, 7th decades of their life, just because generally they have friends, family, or even themselves that have kind of started this process of getting older and developing these, preventable health conditions. And it becomes very real to them. Your mortality really starts to creep in, and it kind of breaks down a lot of that denial. But at the same time, a lot of times the damage has been done to some degree, and it becomes a heck of a lot harder to try to reverse those kind of conditions. Although I do believe that the body can heal, and then you can reverse a lot of these conditions. It just makes it a lot harder than prevention. They always say an ounce of prevention is worth more than a pound of cure. And if we can start early, I get that you're, 18, 19, 20, you're probably going to do whatever you want to do, but hopefully by the time you're in your mid 20s, late 20s, early 30s, you are really taking care of yourself and realizing the benefit of that, and kind of getting rid of these notions that you're just going to pass away suddenly, painlessly in your sleep of one of these conditions. So that's just something that's been weighing on my chest. I don't know if you know anybody who has these kind of beliefs. If you do, maybe show them this video, because one of the wonderful things about me being an internal medicine doctor who works in a hospital, who sees this on a day-to-day basis, I see what the reality is of this, and it helps remind me that I got to stay on track too. So I hope that helps. Until next time.